Hey flower folks, welcome to Sheer Inspirations. My name is Sheer and I'm a botanist and a horticulturist, founder of Sheer Inspirations, located in Southern California, High Desert Zone 8B9A borderline. In today's video, I'm going to share with you how to harvest and condition hollyhocks to be used in cut flower arrangements. This variety is called Indian Spring Hollyhocks. This is a beautiful addition in your cottage cutting garden and makes a great cut flower lasting anywhere from 10 to 15 days if conditioned properly. Many times hollyhocks are sold as biennial plants. This particular variety is hybridized to not be a biennial. It flowers the first year and does not die after the second year like true biennial plants normally do. I have some in partial shade and they grow up to 6 foot, and I also have some in full sun that grow only up to 4 foot, keeping in mind that my sun is extremely harsh in the southwest desert of California. So if you are in northern states, your full sun will act like my partial shade because the sun is not as harsh there as it is here. These flowers are in many colors, not as many colors as a normal hollyhocks come in. However, they're bright enough that this selection that I have are all first year harvest flowers, and I've had these for the last 3 years in my English cottage cutting garden. I've gotten them from my neighbor who's had them in her garden for 10 plus years. So they are a short-lived perennial perhaps, but we are not certain exactly how long that short-lived is. So this is where they're growing in partial shade, and they're much taller here than they are in my full sun area where they're only up to 4 foot high. The entire plant is edible. The roots, the stems, the leaves, and the flowers. If you harvest, I recommend that you harvest 18 to 24 inches of stem length for best vase life. If you are like me and you get excited about harvesting taller stems 30 plus inches, keep in mind that the top part of the buds will droop a little bit and not stand up straight for a few days. They will continue to open for you. They will just not look all straight like they should. I have harvested here a stem that's about 24 inches, and I try to keep it at about anywhere from 18 to 24 inches for me to be able to have straight, tall, nice arrangements. I'm harvesting this brown maroon one actually, and if you notice, I harvested a little bit shorter on this only because I'm going to remove the bottom leaves and foliage and a couple of flowers that have some wind damage on it before I put it in my vase. Something also to note is when you are harvesting these, do not put them straight into the bucket of water like we normally do when we are harvesting flowers. With these, you want to keep them dry up until we are conditioning them and charring them, and afterwards you want to then place them in water. The reason for that is if you cut the flower and place it straight into the bucket, they will start oozing out that liquid that will make the stem stop drinking water, and all of your flowers will then wilt, and you don't want that. So you don't want to introduce the stems to water too quickly. These flowers are usually not used in market bouquets or grocery store bouquets for a reason, because they need special care after every 5 days, because the flowers that we harvested that are currently open are going to then die in the vase, and if you don't know how to care for them properly, you're just going to think that they're going to die and the buds are not going to open Instead, what we need to do at that point is cut the dyed wilted flowers and rechar the stems and rearrange the flowers. Right here is where I am charring my stems. If you have a stove outdoors, I highly recommend using that. That's what I'm doing here. Next to my barbecue, I have a stove and I'm charring that up to a point where they turn completely black at the bottom. You want to make sure that they're not turning into ashes. What this is going to do, this is going to allow the stems to drink water, because that oozing will stop up to 90%. It will still ooze a little bit, but it won't ooze as much. But you don't want to char it to a point where it's just falling apart and it's turned into ashes. For easier cleanup, I recommend doing all of this process outdoors. If you don't have access to a stove outdoors, you can do it indoors, of course. If you don't have a gas stove like I have here, you can also do the same process on a candle. Keep in mind that it will take a little bit longer using a candle doing that many stems. Right here is what the flowers look like right after they've been charred. And as you notice, they're not wilting, they're not dead, they look just fine, and they're going to continue to look like this for at least 4 to 5 days. And I'm going to show you what it's going to look like afterwards, so then I can show you what I do to clean up and then reutilize the flowers, so then you can do the same thing. Right here is 5 days later. As you can see, the flowers that were open are now wilted, and the buds are continuing to open up. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove the entire bouquet. I'm going to remove all of the wilted flowers from the stalks, from the stems, recut the stems, rechar the stems, and then use them with more hollyhocks or just these if you want. I'm going to show you when we remove the stems. You notice there is that little bit of sap still. And that's okay because the flowers are continuing to drink water. I recommend changing water every 2 to 3 days for non-smelly water. If you want to, you could just dump the water from the pitcher and refill it, or you could take the flowers out and then do it. It's up to you. And I'm going to go ahead and cut them at an angle, remove the stems, and remove the dead foliage, or if there's seed pods that you see forming, and recut at an angle and continue on. When you recut, you want to follow the same procedure and not put them in the water right away. Understanding that they just came from water, but that part already was sappy and oozing out all sorts of stuff. Here we have them all cleaned up. These are now going to continue on, and this is done at the 5th day. So they still have 5 to 7 days left in them. And now since the stems are shorter, they're continuing to open up sooner. So the longer the stem, the longer it's going to take for the plant to drink water. So keep that in mind. What I'm doing here is I have the white and salmon color hollyhock that opened up, and I'm going to harvest some of these, and I'm going to make a bouquet with the ones that I just recut and recharred. So now I will have all of the colors of hollyhocks in one bouquet, from the garden to the bouquet. As we like to say, from farm to table, in this case from garden to table. And these can be arranged and put in your kitchen or in your living room table. And I have, as you can see, 3 colors, and these flowers partially are the ones that we recharged from the previous bouquet and some of the new ones. So this will last again for 5 to 6 days, and then we'll have to redo and rechar and so on. It is a little bit of extra work, but it's totally worth enjoying your hollyhocks indoors that you worked so hard to grow. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!